Episode 30 of Wasteland Weaponistics. We have a bit of a weird one here today, with the CR-74L. The reason I say this is a weird one is because this weapon only exists in the Fallout 4 Creation Club. If you don't know the canonicity of the Creation Club, Emil Pagliarulo, Bethesda's lead writer, said this about the Creation Club. It isn't fully canon, however it's not uncanon. It is a parallel to canon. So, to me, that sounds like a lot how comic books work. The model of the CR-74L is very well done. I actually like this gun a lot more than the standard combat rifle. The CR-74L was made by the same modeler who did a lot of the guns for the World War II FPS game Hell Let Loose. The dialogue and lore of this creation was done by a different person than the modeler. This might or might not be the case, but I really feel the modeler got a lot of inspiration from Kel-Tec's SU-16 rifle. Look at the way the back of the receiver slants down at an angle. This is near similar to the way the SU-16's receiver is. The modeler then put what I'm assuming is the safety on the back of that slanted portion, kind of like how a shotgun is. Now there are several other influences in this weapon's design, most notably the lower handguard. This is clearly a Spanish Set-Me-El handguard. The rounded design with the long but shallow finger grooves just gives it right away, and it can't be a coincidence. The long, square-looking barrel seems to be based on the Chris Vector 16-inch carbine version. This 16-inch version is made to comply with US laws, as a firearm with a barrel that's shorter than 16 inches and a stock is considered a short-barreled rifle and requires a tax stamp. So Chris Vector makes this kind of faux suppressor looking one. If you didn't know, there's actually this very funny kind of parody airsoft version of the Chris Vector called the Anti-SBR that has a 33-inch long barrel. Now, the upper handguard of the CR-74L, I think it's based on the Samson Manufacturing Evolution AR handguard, just made square instead of round. Those venthole cuts are kind of similar to the Samson Manufacturing handguard, however, I could be wrong. Now, the CR-74L is not just a simple reskin of the combat rifle. There are several differences with it. One is that the weapon has no semi-auto feature, so it's full auto only. Better get good at trigger control if you want to fire single shots out of this thing. The second is that this weapon can accept drum mags. The standard combat rifle doesn't have that option. The CR-74L can also be converted from 45 to 5.56. The standard combat rifle, on the other hand, can be converted from 45 to fire 38 or 308. With only December Child firing 5.56. Now, the CR-74L has some very strange lore. We learned about this weapon through multiple holotapes that come with the Creation Club plugin. According to this Commonwealth Travel Guide holotape, it reads as if the rifle was entirely designed and produced by this character known as Mary Jane. Dialogue from this holotape. The Commonwealth is a dangerous place, and it helps to be armed. That's why you're going to get some tips from my partner, Mary Jane, on how to customize your very own CR-74L. And make sure your journey is a safe one. Lily, so Mary Jane, tell us about this new rifle of yours. What makes it tick? Mary Jane, it doesn't tick. It blows people's heads off. Lily, but why does it look so different? Mary Jane, well, believe it or not, I got the idea from Cleo. I always wondered how those Assaultrons move so effing fast, and wanted to make a gun that was just as light. I always thought it had something to do with voodoo metal, but it's really just the pistons inside. Lily, are you saying it's not what's on the outside, but the inside that counts? Mary Jane, more or less. With the CR-74L, it works by redirecting the gas from the cartridge to the bolt carrier, making it more compact. Lily, sounds complicated. Way too complicated for someone like me. Mary Jane, maybe not you, but yeah, the gun's actually pretty simple to use. The idea is it's a high-tech rifle for the average settler. Lily, so if you're looking to travel the Commonwealth and take along our handy guide, would you recommend the CR-74L to be your trusted companion? Mary Jane, well, your effing holotape sure as Pope won't save, so yeah. Lily, aw, you're so cute when you're mean. In any case, if you're using this guide, Mary Jane's got a list of several locations in the Commonwealth that might help with modding the gun. Happy hunting. So, the dialogue mentions some important things. One, it says she got the idea of this rifle from looking at Cleo, who's an Assaultron. So, the character of Mary Jane designed and made this rifle. This isn't a pre-war gun, like, she manufactured it in this post-war wasteland. In fact, she manufactured multiple of them, as you can find them for sale at some of the vendors throughout the Commonwealth. However, I don't believe this weapon can spawn on enemies out in the wasteland. The dialogue also sort of mentions how it works. It works by redirecting the gas from the cartridge to the bolt carrier. And reading that, I was like, yeah, that's basically how all auto-loading rifles worked. The gas generated by the cartridge is recycled to move the bolt backwards. What the best way to do that has been debated since the first semi-autos back before World War I. It also says it makes this rifle more compact. More compact compared to what? The standard combat rifle? From the strange lesbian dialogue, to me it seems the author was trying to make it seem like the CR-74L is the Fallout equivalent of a piston-driven version of the AR-15. Like the Rock River Arms VAR or AdCore Defense 5.56 Elite Rifle. Using a standard AR-15, the gas system is a type of direct gas impingement. But due to the way AR-15s work, they have a buffer tube sticking out the back of the gun. This wasn't a problem when the AR-15 was first designed, as it wasn't really meant to be a super compact weapon. But as time went on, the AR platform took on multiple roles, and so the AR-15 could only have collapsing stocks, unlike piston-driven guns like the AK or Mini-14 that could have folding stocks. Eventually, engineers found ways of removing the need for the buffer on the AR-15. Some just moved the placement of the buffer, like Olympic Arms, but this really wasn't a good solution. So, eventually, companies started making piston-driven AR-15s that removed the need for the buffer altogether. So you could have much more compact guns. But in Fallout, the standard combat rifle doesn't have a buffer, and can easily be made short, even with a pistol grip style stock. In fact, to me, the CR-74L seems to be a bulkier gun than the standard combat rifle. So what they mean by more compact, I don't know. There is some other problems with the lore of this weapon, and we'll get into them later. However, one thing I do find interesting about this whole Creation Club plugin is that you go about acquiring the different upgrades for the weapon through multiple quests. One of the quests is to acquire a fluted barrel. The dialogue of this one reads, Lily once asked me if a fluted barrel could play music, but it's not that kind of flute. Fluted barrels have grooves built into the exterior to better vent the gas. This is so the gun doesn't fly up and F up your aim. The problem is the barrel is made out of special composites, so you can't shave it off willy-nilly like an effing mutant. Daisy and Goodneighbor sells a drill guide that should give a few key tips. 1. This dialogue is just straight wrong. The author is confusing a fluted barrel with a ported one. A fluted barrel has nothing to do with gas, and instead lets you lower the weight of the barrel while keeping its rigidness. This is a fluted barrel. Notice how it has cuts in it that reduce weight, but keep rigidity. What the author is talking about, like I said, is a ported barrel. A ported barrel is a barrel that has holes in it to better vent gas. But this is usually not seen on rifles, and instead only on pistols. Rifles usually have a compensator or muzzle brake added to the end that does the exact same job. Also, she mentions the barrel is made out of special composites. Well, good luck with the longevity of this gun's barrel. We know in real life composite barrels don't last that long, just like the AR-10 that went in for military testing that had its barrel explode during the M14 trials. That disqualified it from ever becoming the M14. Not like the military was going to pick it anyway. As a trial, well, it was rigged from the start. So you go to Daisy and get the CR-74L drill guide that for some reason she has. This allows you to craft both the short and long fluted barrel. Other attachment is the silencer, or the suppressor. Both terms are technically correct. Dialogue from this section. I once met a gun dealer who wouldn't shut up. Lily thought she was eccentric. I thought she was effing annoying, but her big mouth did give me an idea for a muzzle suppressor. Like all combat rifles, the CR-74L is a loud A gun, and one shot will give away your position to everyone in the Commonwealth. Muzzle blast is caused by high temps and hot gas, so my idea is to apply a coolant system. The kind used in old world cars. There might be a car schematic lying around the red rocket that'll give you some ideas. Whoever wrote this doesn't understand how silencers work. Cooling down a muzzle blast isn't going to do anything. A silencer works by trapping the expanding gas in usually some type of baffle system. A cold gun is still going to be as loud as a hot gun. Now you can use an oil filter as a suppressor, but it's not cooling down the muzzle blast. It's, like I said, trapping the gas. So you grab the schematic from the red rocket, allowing you to put on the suppressor, which seems to be based on the Russian PBS-1 silencer. Next attachment, the Reflex sight. Dialogue. The best scope modder I ever knew was a guy named Artist. Genius modder. Completely nuts. Last I heard he was fine-tuning weapons for a raider gang in Lexington. I did ask him to work on something for the CR-74L. Guy can't remember what he had for breakfast, but he might remember that. Off to Lexington we go. You find Artist just standing around with a bunch of raiders. You kill him and grab the plans off of him. Very simple. The note he has reads, Scope material count. Reflex aluminum 4, adhesive 2, steel 4, nuclear 2, screws 2, silver 4, Zork 87. On the back of the note it says, needs more Zork. Can't make scopes for this without Zork. It's the secret ingredient. Now, Zork is most likely a reference to an old computer game from 1977 called Zork. But on the note it has the number 87 next to it, so it might be a reference to Beyond Zork, the coconut out of Quendor, which came out in 1987. After reading this note, you can now put reflex sights on your CR-74L. Nothing really to say, they're just kind of standard reflex sights. Next up, the high-grade receiver. Dialogue. I had an idea for how to upgrade the CR-74L receiver, but it was only a rough schematic at the time. Showed it to a mechanic buddy who worked at the diner in Quincy, and he put it in a safe behind the counter so I wouldn't lose it. The key to the safe was in the register, so you don't have to pick the lock. This one might be a bead to get. Whole place got run over by gunners a while back. Can get it, it'll be worth your while. You head down to Quincy, kill a bunch of gunners, get the receiver schematics, allowing you to craft all types of more advanced receivers for the CR-74L. Even a hair trigger receiver for some reason, despite the gun being full auto only. And the hair trigger somehow increasing the rate of fire, which would normally be relegated to a speedy receiver or rapid receiver. Just kind of weird, if you ask me. That leaves us with the last attachment quest. The one that to me makes the least amount of sense. The stock and grip. Dialogue from this portion. I had an idea for a custom grip of the CR-74L that's light, but the stock design can make for slippage on the handle. As a workaround, Mo Cronin taught me a trick using a vending machine outside the dugout inn. It sells this crap called pine tar, and old ball players used to use it to keep a grip on their swatters. The thing sticks to your hand like dirt on a mole rat. Only hitch is that you'll need pre-war cash to buy it. Mo didn't have any problems though. I think if you're wearing one of those uniforms, the machine dishes this stuff out for free. My problem is, why would you want sticky stuff all over the grip of your gun? If your grip is slipping that much, wouldn't it be better just to use tape? Also, I'm not even sure why you need this pine tar on the stock of the gun. It's the same exact stock and grip as the standard one, it just has triangles cut out of it to make it lighter. And the grip portion isn't any different. But hey, after all this, you can finally fully mod out your CR-74L. For unique CR-74Ls, there is one. You find it on Mary Jane's body. She is located east of Sanctuary, where you start this questline. The unique CR-74L is bloodied, so it does more damage when at lower health. But it has a secondary legendary effect, unlike most Fallout 4 weapons. You see, when aiming, you move faster. So, ignoring the problems with the lore that don't make any sense to me, it is actually a really cool looking gun. I have to say the modeler did a really good job on it. To me, it's a lot like how in Fallout 3 you had the R91, and then when you had the Pit DLC, you had a more futuristic looking tactical version with the Infiltrator and the Perforator variants that come with the Pit. However, if we go by the lore of this weapon, it seems Mary Jane was manufacturing these. How she was manufacturing them? I don't know, it doesn't mention that. Manufacturing a gun. Something simple, like a PA Ludi stamped sheet metal gun, fine. I can see someone manufacturing that in the Wasteland. However, a fully automatic rifle caliber weapon, just seems not impossible to be manufactured out in the Wasteland. It just seems rather improbable. Aesthetically, like I said, I think it fits the Fallout universe. I think it's really cool looking. Modeler did a great job. Lore-wise, it's kind of iffy, if you ask me. Anyway, that's all for this kind of weird episode of Wasteland Weaponistics. Hope you enjoyed it enough to subscribe to this channel for more. There's also my primary channel, Trooper Fofo, if you want more general gaming content, and soon I will be doing video game novel reviews, one of which may already be up by the time you see this video. Alright, until next time, see you later.